Welcome to Amanda Stars. In this video, I'm going to be further clarifying a little bit about what shadow work is, how it works, and who it's for. And when I say who it's for everybody, but not necessarily always at the same time in our process, in our development. So I have 5 points to clarify, and I'm going to talk a little bit about each one. And I would like to start with shadow work is not a substitute for therapy. The point about shadow work is that it's uncovering things that are in the darkness, things that we have projected onto other people, things that we've banished, or things that we've buried under our beds. For example, when we are in trauma, when we've been hurt, often the pain is so much in our awareness that we can't think of anything else. It's not necessarily that pain is in the shadow. Very often it is in our every waking awareness, and sometimes even in our sleeping awareness, when we have dreams that are filled with the thing that is paining us. So the people who are best trained to deal with that kind of trauma are therapists and counselors. And therapists, particularly Jungian therapists, will also deal with shadow work, but they won't deal with shadow work when you are actively suffering. Because the role of shadow is, it has developed over time to protect us, to make us feel safe. We began developing our shadow in childhood when we were reasonably powerless people, and we could only employ psychological functions and beliefs to keep us safe. And those are then the shadows. If you are feeling sort of in crisis, in like a painful crisis, you are already feeling sort of unsafe. And if you go to try and expose the shadow, that's going to make you only feel more unsafe. So I implore you, if you are at the moment suffering pain, go and look for a therapist, or the holistic psychologist has developed something called the SelfHealers circle. She also has written some books, and I'm going to link those below this video also. That is potentially something that you can do to heal yourself on your own, but through the guidance of a trained therapist. Okay, so the second one, shadow work is not purely a psychological process. Shadow work might begin as a psychological process, and it begins with examining our thoughts and our feelings and our beliefs. But it can also extend to looking at the shadow that is inside our bodies, perhaps through body feeling techniques, or if we've got pain in our body, to go and investigate, asking our body what shadow is operating inside that pain. What is that pain trying to protect you from? Also, shadow work as a process is also a spiritual process. Spiritual enlightenment is basically an expanded awareness. And through doing shadow work, we expand our awareness. We expand our awareness of ourselves and of how we are, what we think, what our beliefs are, how we impact the world, but also how people in our environment and our family and our friends and our stories and our history, how they all impact us. So there's a deep growing awareness through doing shadow work. And very often when people begin to do shadow work, they tend not to really stop. They learn how to look into the dark, they learn how to see in the dark, for example. And so the benefits are then physiological health, psychological health, and also spiritual awareness. All right, so shadow work is also not, number 3, another reason to beat yourself up. Most of us have really well developed inner critics, and all of us have internalized our parental voices that tend to be authoritarian and telling us, do this, do that, you should have done this, you should have done that, why didn't you do this, why didn't you do that? So that internal voice, or those internal voices, are often very loud, and they're quite scary. And the point is that the things that are in our shadow, you can think of them as little children that are hiding. And if a child is scared and hiding, they are not going to come out when you bring your shouty voice. So for this reason, we need to approach the practice of shadow work with kindness and compassion for ourselves. So to coax that little scared child to come out of the darkness. So yes, leave the shouty, beaty voice to the side for this particular exercise, and bring your deepest kindness for yourself. And you might find that you also need to bring kindness and compassion for the people along the way in the stories that you will remember. All right, then shadow work is not a ready-made plan. It's not something that you can buy off the shelf. It is a process that begins, and then it's a process. And it requires work, and it requires ongoing work. So what happens at the beginning of the process is that through the way I work is we look at your birth chart, and we see in the birth chart where shadow primarily can develop. And we take that moment of awareness where we suddenly become aware that there is shadow, and then we start practicing. We start practicing to integrate that shadow. And the way to integrate the shadow is constantly. It's constantly when we find ourselves perhaps procrastinating, and we go to look in our birth charts to see why we're procrastinating, what causes us to be immovable. As soon as we find ourselves being immovable, we can remember, the reason that I'm immovable is because X, Y, and Z. And then perhaps you can move. But you're going to have thousands of reasons to remind yourself, here I feel like I don't want to move again. What feeling is going on for me right now? And each time you take action to get yourself moving again, it's a constant process. And one day down the line, you will realize that you're moving. You're no longer procrastinating, and it doesn't take so much consciousness to work through that shadow. That shadow has then become integrated. Finally, shadow work is not a repair kit to fix you. And the reason that it's not a repair kit to fix you is because you're not broken. None of us are broken. Many of us are fractured. Many of us are wounded. Many of us are in grief, and we are sad and divided. But through the process of doing shadow work, we take all the parts of ourselves, the part that is hiding under the bed. We take the parts that are projected onto other people. We take the parts that we've banished to a different universe and we integrate them into ourselves. And so we become whole. We do not become fixed because, as I say, we are not broken. So please be aware of any program that tells you that you are to be fixed. You are not to be fixed. You are not broken. People that have been hurt, that are wounded, they are not broken. They are hurt and wounded. I hope that through this video you have some clarity on what shadow work is and how powerful it can be. Also, just a reminder that if you are in conscious pain, that it's necessary to deal with that first before uncovering our shadows. But please be assured that whenever you have dealt with your conscious pain, shadow work will still be here and you will still be able to do it. The door is always open and you can always come inside. So if this video has stirred in you an interest to do shadow work and you would like to work with me as your guide, my contact details will be below the video. And if you think a family member or a friend or a foe even would be interested in learning more about shadow work, please feel free to share this channel with them. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time. The door is open. Come inside.